murder in South London 2 years ago of the black teenager Stephen
Lawrence's family are determined to carry on their long search for the truth about his murder.
Out of the blue, he was attacked and stabbed.
Stephen Lawrence is 19.
Sean.
Justin, let's take that walk that you mentioned on the route that Stephen Lawrence
took that night in question.
Even just saying it, to be fair, and walking it and being here is really emotional, to be honest. And I think today on this walk, we want to try and draw out some of those emotions. And
let's understand. At this moment, Stephen has been wounded. We're walking along this street now as fully able-bodied people. Stephen was staggering along the street at the moment with a wound in his abdomen, dying, Sean. For me, I can't believe this happened in London, albeit 29 years ago.
Look, I see a bus coming. Okay.
Before I talk about kind of my experience and my siblings, etc., I understand you were just moving into the area. Is that right?
Bought a house. I bought a house in the local area. The earliest recollection that I had was people saying to me, "Oh, you live where Stephen Lawrence was murdered."
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Eltham is known for many other things, but so many people. Do you know, I had someone who actually said to me, "Where was you on the night in question?"
This is what I was going to ask, because obviously you're just moving here, or you know, about to move here, and no disrespect, but you may fit the bill in terms of, you know, looks and young white male, etc.
Exactly.
How did that make you feel? You know, coming into the area, thinking, you know, did you feel like you were being, you know, accused and stuff, or how did that make you feel?
I couldn't believe that it happened in Eltham. First of all, I couldn't believe that. I didn't like it when people said to me, "Oh," even though it was a joke, but who would joke about such a thing like that?
Yeah, exactly.
When people would say, "Oh, were you in the vicinity in the night in question?" I found that quite offensive. Not only were we getting offended in relation to, okay, you're a white male of 20-something years old.
Yeah.
Who would joke about that?
Yeah, it's disgusting. There's no need to joke. It's like the seriosity of the event has gone out of the question, relating back to actually, you know, somebody got racially murdered. That's, you know, Stephen got murdered because of his colour. It's sad.
He's been murdered at that bus stop there.
It's sad.
Okay, and we're now nearly halfway down his final journey. The way that he had staggered from that bus stop, we're going to cross the road and take to the other side of the street where, unfortunately, Stephen's last resting place was.
Ready? Cross the road.
Can you see it?
So we are nearly there. We've walked, I would say, 3/4 of the journey that Stephen took from that bus stop now, Sean.
Yeah.
Let's make our way up to the memorial here.
Yeah.
So the memorial's been here, I think, for quite a long time now. I walk past it every day I go to work on this street, and I always look down it, and it makes me reflect upon the events that took place. I think one thing that saddened me the most about the memorial, and I don't know whether you're aware of this, Sean, it's been defaced on 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
You know, and what would be a peaceful memorial on the pavement have been, as the trials went on and things like that, there was an incident, Sean, when someone actually attacked the memorial with a hammer.
It's a sign of criminality instead of it being, like you just said, a place of reflection.
Yeah.
And paying tribute to.
And where people can come and actually pay tribute. I like that. And for me, in the neighbourhood it was something that actually galvanised the neighbourhood towards the hate for those people that created that crime.
This morning, this is what confronted passers-by and anyone wishing to pay respects at the memorial to Stephen Lawrence in Eltham. Barely had the ink dried on the Macpherson Inquiry report into the racist attack on Stephen than white paint was daubed on his plaque, blotting out the words, "Stephen Lawrence, may he rest in peace."
It was in the local newspaper, and people actually just speaking to general people in the neighbourhood, they didn't tolerate that.
Yep.
They couldn't tolerate that, you know, in respect to Stephen.
It's disgusting, isn't it? I mean, it's just, you know, I don't know, what can you say?
I realise it must be really distressing for the Lawrence family, and I'm very sorry that it keeps happening.
I really believe it will gel things in the hearts of all creeds and colours, because it's obvious that the people that did it really are bloody minded racialists.
The sad thing about it now, Sean, is on the left-hand side of the road over here, the security camera. That shows you where we've got to now in relation to our society needing to actually protect and look over Stephen's last resting place with a CCTV camera.
Do you know, Justin, you mentioned about, as a community, there was outrage, you know, people furious that it was damaged. For me, when you hear that and you listen, you just said it, it makes me feel like there is hope, there is communities that care, and quite clearly, you know, from a borough perspective, you know, they clearly want to make sure that that doesn't happen again by putting the camera. Even though I mentioned it's too late, they've done something about it to continue, you know, to protect any criminality towards it in the future.
We're nearly there, Sean. We've walked what seemed to be an ordinarily long distance, albeit, could you imagine what it would have felt like on that? No, we don't want to imagine that.
I couldn't imagine.
Question, sorry.
But yeah, it is a considerable distance for somebody to be suffering.
Staggering, and knowing this is their last few breaths of their life.
Sad, very emotional for me to be walking this route, to be honest, Justin, with you and talking about it today. And we actually land at the memorial of Stephen Lawrence, and for me, it would be great to hear your perspective, Dami, around the murder of Stephen Lawrence and how it impacted you and your family.
1993, obviously it was quite a long time ago. I was, you know, really young, so I didn't obviously understand what was going on, but I definitely know, like, there was fear in our family, fear in our community, and you know, we were always told to be careful. We can't go certain places because of the fear of being attacked just for the colour of your skin. When my brother was looking for secondary school, there's a school down the road that's really, really good in Eltham, but it was a hard no for us. The fact is, you know, we were considering his journey in and out through these areas, you know, again, winter nights when it gets dark quickly. You know, he is a big black boy. I mean, he's taller than me. I'm already tall. He's taller than me. And, you know, you just think he might be a target, and that was a real fear.
This was never a thought that went through my mind when I chose my son's school.
That's what I said. I mentioned it as well earlier, Dami, about, you know, my siblings travelling in pairs, not alone.
Yeah.
Making sure they go straight to the destination and back.
Absolutely.
Being that if you got either racially attacked, abused, and if you reported it, potentially not even being listened to by the authority.
Yeah.
It's alarming.
Teenagers accused of murdering the black schoolboy Stephen Lawrence have been released from custody after the Crown Prosecution Service ruled there was insufficient evidence against them.
You know, even like 5 years ago, my cousin was chased down, you know, because he was a black guy, and, you know, him telling us about it, and
was chased down by
white guys, you know, and, you know, obviously racially charged. And, you know, it makes me think, like, sometimes, and probably the reason why I avoid this place, because 1993 wasn't that long ago, and you think that these people have now grown, they're now the parents, they're now, you know, grandparents, you know, you're just a bit, like, unsure whether views have changed. It's a fear that's still around today, and, you know, all the more reasons why we have to acknowledge Stephen Lawrence Day. You know, so much has happened, and, you know, although there has been a lot of good change, you know, there's still a lot that needs to happen. You know, from his death, we looked at things like, we saw that there was institutional racism, a lot of things that were wrong with the police force, things that we still see today. And this is just why it's so important. You know, we've got to keep the fight alive, because these problems are not new, the problems we see today.
So what do you think your kids are taught, Sean? You've got 2 young girls.
Yeah, from my perspective, I think that's why we're here today, to bring awareness to the situation, to bring awareness of, you know, history and what happens nowadays. For me, today's, you know, really a special day that we're here, because we are marking kind of the day of Stephen and the change that he has brought around, and his family has brought around, whether that's through Macpherson Report, whether that's through the StephenLawrence.org. Currently, that is the support site that's there, that helps educate people from Key Stage 1 upwards. You've got the Stephen Lawrence Centre as well. That's, you know, multi-million-pound investment, which is a commitment to change and a commitment to help educating our younger generation, middle-aged, elderly population around actually what needs to be done within society to ensure that we are deliberately anti-racist. So for me, it's really important, really important.
I think also just us standing here together shows the change as well. Standing in Eltham on this beautiful sunny day,
as Lloyds
Banking Group, colleagues, and just the love that is even within here. You know, it's telling that there is change, although there is more change to come. But it's all about Stephen.
Let's show our appreciation for Stephen and our respect from us as 3 colleagues who work from Lloyds Banking Group. And I think the most fitting thing that we can do now is show that love and respect by laying our small tribute to Stephen.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.